y'all for coming today. My name is Yvonne Garcia. I am the owner and director of Hooks-Epstein Galleries, the oldest gallery in Houston, founded in 1969 by my friend and mentor, Jerry Hooks. But enough about me. Thank you, Taft and Deasa, for coming by today. So Taft McWhorter, he is a local Houston artist, does a lot of philanthropy, amongst many other things, but he also has put together a book, 50 Houston Artists, which he's already released the first edition, but Deasa will actually be in the second edition, coming in the spring. Yes?
In the spring of 2025.
Great, so we're looking forward to that. And then Deasa Turner is our emerging Houston artist. When we first met, Jerry was still here with us, and I really like this journey that we're on together, and I'm glad that we're on it together, because I really want us to evolve into an amazing artist, and she's already put her best foot forward. So, but I will stop talking, and then I will let y'all carry on with y'all's conversation. So thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Vaughn. Oh, well, here we go.
Well, both being artists, visual artists, I feel like this is going to be a fun collaboration of minds here of what we've discussed.
Sure, I'm open.
And I have a few things that I'm going to talk about that I want to share about you with everyone. People might not know it, so it's a little bit of interesting history that I thought will play along with the topic of you and your artwork. So you're not only a native Texan, but a native Houstonian.
Yes, I am.
I am as well, and so more and more these days that's harder to find, so very unique right there. You're a Hollywood actress, and so some of the shows I'm familiar with, Hunter and Dear John.
Yes.
Yeah, so you had a career, you're on IMDb and everything, right? You've got your own spot there. You've done solo exhibits in Beverly Hills with your show titled Glitter, Glitter, Bang, Bang.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of just a few little tidbits that I thought were colorful and interesting of different lives that you've led before becoming an artist. Some of the basic questions I want to kind of start with are questions a lot of people ask us as artists, and so you've heard them many, many times, but they're always good starter questions, and then we're going to go a little deeper after that. So most of your artwork in this show is sculpture, mixed media. You're not necessarily painting. That's due to a past injury, right? So
yes, I had a very weird medical anomaly and ended up losing my right clavicle. And I was in art school at the time, and my plan was to be a painter. And of course, this action without a clavicle becomes quite painful. Although you can do it on the floor, it still can become painful. So at the time, I was studying at Glassell, and Charlotte Cosgrove taught collage and assemblage. And I kept seeing all the things up and down the hallway that the students would put out. I was just like, ooh. And I'm a magpie, so I'd see these little things and be like, oh, look at all this. This is so cool. So I found that the process is not, there's never this same movement going on. Now, in some of the things I've done, mummifying these figures, I find myself rapping, but there's control, and I know when to time it and take a break and all this stuff like this. But it's like the thing that happened that was really bad led me to where I really found myself as an artist, and where I was able to enjoy what I was doing and being creative with found objects and toys and just putting things together, found objects together into sculpture and or relief. And I don't do a lot of painting, just the backgrounds and setting things up like that, but I do enjoy still Prisma on objects and charcoals and pastels, things like that. But yeah, that's how I ended up with doing this collage and assemblage, more so than collage. Yeah.
Well, I just think it's as interesting as an artist, as a creative person, that you started out in acting and dancing and all these different things, and then you're painting and you have an injury, that art still wanted to come out. Like it's still, you still kept creating even though it wasn't that your ability to paint anymore.
I can't imagine not doing something creative. I think my whole life I was in search of, doing creative things. When I lived in LA, I'd do a TV show, and then I'd get a week where a friend of mine said, "Do you want to work props on this Nickelodeon show?" And I'm like, "Yes, let's work props." So I'd work props, I'd do this, then I'd do catering, and I'd work in a restaurant at night, so it's just all over the map. But it took a long time for me to focus,
Right.
pick something, focus, and stick with it.
Well, and so, to give a little insight into your creative mind, and this is the deeper part, why do you create? What's that sense and that urge?
It is my breath. It gives me a reason to wake up. When I wake up, I feel so grateful, A, to wake up, and then B, to go to my table and just to start working with my hands and see what's gonna happen. Just the process of creating is everything for me, and with many artists. I mean, I had a therapist for 23 years. God bless her, she was terrific. We retired together during the pandemic, but she always said, don't let a day go by that you don't sit at your table and that you work, even if it's 10 minutes that day. But I usually do put studio hours in front of myself, and I stick to those hours.
Okay.
I can't imagine, I don't know what I would do if I wasn't making things. It's the culmination of everything I've done that I know I can continue to the rest of my life.
It's just who you are.
It's who I am.
Yeah. And so a lot of the art, we'll get into the deeper meaning of the Whimsy and Chaos, but on a kind of a surface level with all of your artwork, where do you get the inspiration? What drives you? Because you have this creative energy that you want to put out. What's the inspiration for you to go in a certain direction?
I think every day as humans, we wake up, we open the paper, or we turn on our phone, or we turn on the TV, and we're bombarded with everything that's going on in the planet or Earth. Two people against each other, wars, guns, school shootings. It's endless, and I think every artist, every human can help but pick up on something, and it feels really close to home, and for whatever reason they want to advocate for it or talk about it. In my instance, for me anyway, more recently, and it's also being from Texas, I think too, guns are such a prevalent part of Texas. But I'm real scared of guns. And I'm not personally a gun owner. I had a couple of run-ins as a young person with guns. But I'm overwhelmed by the situation in America specifically, in that we send our kids to school and you never know if they're gonna come home because of a shooter. I think that's the most tragic thing that I see that just kills me is I don't understand why anyone needs an automatic weapon. It makes no sense. And even if we banned automatic weapons today, it would be 150 years before they're out of circulation. So it's not the best outlook. It's here to stay, and I don't know the answers to it. I just know it's terribly frightening. And on the other end of that, there's responsible gun ownership. And we revere our guns and think they're beautiful. And let me show you this one, and I got this one, and I got that one. And that's very normal in Texas. I want to show you my gun. I've met young women that work hostesses in restaurants and things that, carrying weapons because they're walking home alone at night or going somewhere, and I'm just like, oh, my heart would be palpitating because I shot a gun off in my purse when my dad gave me a small gun to take when I moved to New York. And I am not one of those people that, it's like a horse. Either you're comfortable on a horse or you're not. I'm not comfortable with a gun, but they've really affected me, and it's affected everyone. It's not just me, it's affected everyone. There's just, they're throughout our world, especially in America. I don't know why we're so obsessed with them. I know when the Constitution was written, I mean, we were stuffing guns like this to go kill deer. I mean, things have changed, so I just don't understand. There's so many beautiful things people could collect. I have a fake gun, you know?
But let's touch on that. So that is a big part of this specific showing, is the juxtaposition of something that is cultural and glorified,
Yes.
and something that is dangerous and kills people. And those two are very too far into the spectrum that you're bringing together, because I want to say the totem, what's the name of the totem?
The Tower of Babel.
The Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
You look at it and it's got so much imagery that draws these emotions in to be a safe emotion, because it's all these childhood things. But then it's got guns all throughout, and so the closer you get, the more you realize there's something that it's fun and magical, but it's scary.
It's scary. People are armed. You don't know. I mean, if you hit someone with your shopping basket, they could turn around and shoot you. I mean, it's just so crazy the way our world is today. And when the mummies that you see up, it's, you know, it's humanity mixed with the guns and the weapons that are just around us. You may be completely unaware that you know, you're out with friends that got holsters on. It's just.
But talk about the pairing them together of the fun, happy, colorful with a pretty dark message.
The message is so dark, and you know, life is hard enough. It's so hard. It really is. And what we see in the news every day is so depressing. It's like, how do you find the joy, but still point out that yes, it's all very fun and happy, but look closely. You know, what's really underneath all this and mixed together with our realities. It's really disheartening. And I mean, guns, I mean, not only in society, in war, in every, it's just pitiful. I really don't understand the world that we can't get along with each other without arming each other. So,
Well, and so those are definitely profound conversations that need to happen. And you're doing that with your art, and that's fantastic. I'm going to take a step back, and we're going to change gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about your favorite color palette. So let's, you know, pull back a little and talk a little bit about art and what drives you in a color palette.
You know, I'm very, very, very drawn to bright color combinations. I have no fear of color. I'm not worried if it's complementary or not. It just pours out of me. One thing that's not as evident in this particular show is I also love to torch and burn things. And this is probably the most colorful show I've created, which is very ironic. My mother used to say, oh, please put more color in it. You know, because she'd see all these things I burnt and be like, oh. And, but that's how I felt. And I still love burning. And I think you can still get a lot of color out of burning and torching. But, you know, I love orange. I have to tell you, one of my favorite colors is orange. I love cobalt blue, magentas, hot pinks, magentas, and lime greens. This is holographic. I love glitter. So many art teachers were like, oh, glitter. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Look, there's glitter in our world too. I was a showgirl. I mean, glitter was a part of, you know, what made me happy. So I do use glitter. Even my kid growing up, Mom, there's glitter in my oatmeal. And I'm like, it won't hurt you, you know? So I use glitter like paint.
My wife, Dana, and I collect original artwork as well. And one of our criteria when we collect artwork is that we want to meet the artist. And a big part of that is because the artist's personality is always in the artwork. And so asking your color palette and hearing orange and blue and very happy, colorful, you know, bright colors makes sense with your personality.
It helps me stay up.
Well, so to go in that same direction, do you listen to music when you create?
I do not. I work in complete silence. That's what everyone else perceives. my head is going 90 miles an hour. I've got so much going on in my head that I cannot quiet. If I listen, I'm dyslexic and I'm ADHD. So if I have music on and I'm working, I'll start going, and then I'll be dancing all to the music and not staying at my table. There's enough going on in my head. It's a very loud head.
So when you create, do you have an end vision in mind, or do you have an idea in the beginning and then let it evolve?
That's a very good question. I always have a really sound picture in my mind of what it's going to be. But of course, as we create and make things, the happy accidents, the not so good accidents, as they happen along the way, nothing ever ends up exactly as you envisioned it. But sometimes better, sometimes a better twist. And I've scrapped things completely that was like, well, that just did not work at all, and start over. But that's a really good question, because I mean, the best way to describe that, like, I can remember as a kid going, I want to draw the best Santa Claus. And you know in your head what Santa Claus looks like, but you can't get the drawing to come out of what you're seeing.
Right.
That happens to all of us. I mean, we have an idea,
Sure.
and regardless of your skills, your draftsman skills, painting skills, things always change along the way. So sometimes you just have to follow what's happening.
Well, again, I think that is your personality. and I think a lot of artists get stuck with the end visual and can't get away from that, and that's really hard. And I think my favorite artists that I follow are the ones that you could tell something happened along the way and it changed, but this is what it ended up, because that's kind of what's in their heart as it goes along.
Yeah.
So let's do a little play on words here for a second. I personally would describe you and your artwork as these words. So when I say them, you can either agree, you can build on it and go, well, I think that's good, but let me give you another interpretation, or you can say, that's not me at all.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
All right, so unconventional.
Oh, yes, that's me.
And we're talking you and your artwork, the personality of you and what's on the walls.
Yes. I think from a young age I've been unconventional, and I just didn't follow what my parents wanted me to do or what they thought was what I should do. I just have always kind of danced to the beat of my own drum. Yeah.
All right.
That head again.
A storyteller or storytelling.
This is one of the most important things, and when I was at LaSalle, and I'm still there, I'm very involved with everyone there. I just love the school. Patrick Palmer always talked about storytelling in art, and talking about, you hope for the viewer that you create, when they're in front of your piece, that you create some quicksand. They stop and they sink in, and how important storytelling is. I mean, someone can paint a real pretty flower, or they can paint a flower. I mean, it's
Very
big
different.
difference. And I was with an artist recently at Lydia's studio yesterday, and she's painting sunflowers, but the emotion is like the black swan, is the way I describe it. You can take an object and definitely give it personality and emotion.
When I think a good storyteller has a good hook in the beginning that draws you into the message that they're trying to tell. And all of your art, again, we're just staring at this Tower of Babylon. And Dana, my wife, made a comment that you can't stop staring at it, and you want to get closer and closer. And so when you're staring at it from this far away, it's all these colors and cool things, and you get in and you're like, oh, I recognize that from childhood. And then you start noticing the guns, and all of a sudden now the story has changed, and you're sucked in.
Yeah.
So definitely a storyteller. Okay, entertaining.
Sure. Life's short. Let's have fun.
Well, I just watched your video, your Instagram reel of you dancing. So tell us a little bit about
It's different dancing at my age now than it was many years ago. You know, because it was to Chicago's, they both got the gun. And I was like, well, it's all about the guns. So let me give this a shot. Gave me the one, let me come in here and film. I didn't think about doing it 12 times in a row full out at my age. When I was rehearsing it, I was blocking it. And then it was like doing it for the, the camera, and I was like, but I really enjoyed it, and the endorphins were amazing, and who knows, I might start making more dancing videos just for the pure joy of it, if it fits into what I'm discussing and talking about and creating. I've been a dancer as a young person. I don't need to try to reinvent myself as a dancer on stage, but it was so much fun to do. It was a lot of fun to do, and it fit very much. They both got the gun.
Again, it's hard to separate the artist from the art sometimes. And again, you used a whimsical, funny, fun video that makes you smile, but the message is different. Mm-hmm. So that sucks you in. All right, thought-provoking.
I hope so. I mean, even I have to look at things I've made and remember what was I thinking sometimes. I hope so. That's the best I can say about that. I mean, you really have to wait till you see how each person. It's interesting to talk to people as they're viewing your work. If they want to ask you questions of what it is they see compared to what you meant. And sometimes what they see is even better than what you meant. And that's an amazing thing to discover too. It's like, oh, you're right. I never even looked at it from that angle. So, it's not that I'm so brilliant that my thought-provoking things are the end all. It's how people take it. You want to provoke thought, and if you do that, again, like storytelling, it's going to mean more to people than they find something that from them that they put on it that means something. Because hopefully there's only one race, and it's the human race. That's a whole nother thing for me. I can't understand, when they say race, I always write human. I'm just like, we're all human. We all have the same feelings and emotions, or hopefully, we all have empathy and we understand these things. But people respond to different works based on their experience and how they were brought up, where they were brought up, what they experienced in their life, and still are experiencing in their life. We never end. Until we end, we never end. Yeah, we never stop learning or broadening our minds about others' journeys as well as our own.
See, I just said thought-provoking, and that was all of it. All right, and so connecting force. I've known you just under a year, I think, at this point. We met pretty recently in regards to our lifetimes and what we've done, but in a short time, I've been connected to different people and new experiences and all this kind of stuff. And so your personality and your art talk about that as a connecting force, like.
It is, I think you're right in that it's what I make, what I produce with my hands, my head, it's what I'm feeling, it's what I talked about, it's what makes me feel sane is to work. So I'm going to make things that make me happy, but I have the story, but I'm trying to think with connecting. I'm just going to ramble now, trying to connect. Gosh, that's probably one of the harder things for me to do, is to stay on track.
But I'll just say this for you, that I think that the work sort of does that for you in a way, in that it's going to create conversations.
Yes,
You let all this of you out, but then here it sits, and here a group of people sit, and we're videoing this, and it's being a connection for conversation at a minimum.
It is, and as artists, we're always taught to write about our work and express ourselves, and I'm like, but that's why I'm an artist, because I'm visual, and I can show it to you like this. In my mind, it's easier than talking about it, but I'm still learning and still studying art history, and learning how to see it, speak about it, and make it make sense for the viewer and myself. Sometimes we're just so emotional, it's pure emotion coming out in an object or a painting or a drawing, and we haven't even thought how to pull those words together concisely, although it's a very important part of what we do, but it's something I struggle with. It's hard.
Well, so let's talk. We'll kind of end it on this too. We're talking a lot about you and your personality and your art. Let's talk about the viewer for a second. Okay. And you put yourself in their shoes. This artwork is hanging in their home, and it has a message, and it's probably pretty sentimental to someone in the state. We all want the viewer to have their own perspective and opinion. But let's just kind of throw it out there for a second. What do you want that viewer? What is it that you want them to hear or feel or understand from your art?
I want them to feel connected to the experience that we all have as being human. In my mummy boards in particular, it's what all the different things that we're wrapped up in. Traffic, feeling evil, alcohol, the gilded cage, zipped up, bound up, the Me Too movement on its head. It's like I'm throwing all these things that pass through my head. It's like, oh my gosh, all these things are going on. So I do want the work to, if it speaks to someone, it's like, ding, you find your viewer, you know, that they connect and understand what you're saying, or even if you're saying it just visually. And a lot of my work has writing on it. Now this, of course, is math that I put in from a college book, because I did not have the heart to put math from grade school, which unfortunately is where many of the horrific gun situations are happening. But what was the question?
You've done, you already answered, but I'll even push it one last forward on this. Because I feel like your work has a message and you are saying something. If it's gonna inspire someone, what would you want them to be inspired about? To take action, to talk? What specifically would you like?
I like that, to take action. To take action, what is it you feel strongly about? Have I pointed one thing out that you feel strongly about? Mental health, physical health, whatever it may be, sexual diversion, it goes on and on. Let someone pick up on something they connect with, and then you've reached someone. And I think if you were to look at all the different scenarios, someone's going to pick up on something. Some pieces you're going to walk by and there's not going to be a connection, and that's okay. We're different. We're all different. I'm not telling anyone you have to believe what I believe, but it'd be nice just to share humanity with each other. And I'm just pointing out what I see in my world every day.
I think that's what a true artist does, and that's I want to say that since I've met you, it has been really a neat journey getting to know you. We have found a lot of joy in your personality and who you are and what you talk about when you experience in life. But I think that what you're doing with your art is even more profound, and that you're wearing your heart out on your chest, on your sleeve, and you're saying, this is who I am and what I believe. And if it connects with you, that's fantastic. And I think, again, as any artist, that's kind of what we're trying to provide to our viewers and for ourselves. So
thank you.
Well
Yes,
done.
thank you. I know you get it. I mean, we can't help it.
Yeah.
That's the perfect example. I wear it on my sleeve to the point that people are like, you know, it's like, I know, I can't help it. It's just, it's out there. I'm out there, but yeah.
And did we miss anything? Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
I love tap dancing. You know, I'm now that the show is coming to its end, I'm excited to get back to my studio and see what comes next. I mean, I have a gazillion ideas. My sketchbooks are full. It's seeing what, as you turn the news on again, as I was saying, as the days unfold, here we're coming up on an election. There's so much going on, the climate, there's just so much to choose from. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. I'm excited about the next little bit of the journey.
Good. Well, here, look, I'm going to throw this in here too. This is the book that my wife Dana and I curated in 2022, and this is the first edition, and our second edition will launch in the spring of 2025. And Deasa Turner, you are featured in that book as one of those 50 Houston artists, and we're proud to have you. And
thank you.
It's been a great experience working with you. Thank you.
And I get, well, does anyone have any questions for Deasa at all?
Favorite piece of the show? Do you have a personal favorite?
Of the mummies, yes, it's the Hollywood piece with the bucket, the Carrie with the bucket of blood.
Which one?
It's the far left over here. And then The two guns back here I like very much that are they're hidden in our graffiti and our surroundings, so they're concealed weapons. These are concealed weapons. They're just gorgeous in their glitter. And then for the really sad, heavy part, I find this piece very powerful. Anyway, I hope it does something somewhere to get something done about this scenario with mass shootings. If I need to make 1 million more of them, I will if it helps. But those are my favorites, I have to say. And I also like Huey and Juvie, the little duck in jail. So, yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Well, I come from a background of painting because I was married to a painter, obviously. So your support is your Barbie, okay? As a painter, his support is his canvas. Got any ideas for new supports?
Oh, absolutely. The
Sure.
mummies came out. I did a large piece of the mummies it started during the pandemic. You know, hey, people of planet Earth, pay attention. That's what I wrote behind it. It was just kind of my rant. And I did all these mummies. And then it was like, okay, let's bring it down and let's talk more specifically about things. Barbies or dolls are just one portion of the horde of things I've collected to work with. Violins, guitars, silverware. I couldn't even tell you exactly. I have a keyboard and a bunch of little guitars I'm about to do a larger piece with. It really depends on the amphora that I drifted throughout my life, for the last 20 years. I've got quite a nice horde of things that excite me. Like all the plastic toys here. This was not, oh, I just went out and got them and remade this. I mean, it was Goodwill and every kind of thrift shop for many years of things that excited me. And I like the color. Color gets me. Color gets me. But yeah, the armature, as you say, yeah, it's not always going to be dolls. It will change. It will change.
All right, well, thank you, Deasa, thank you, Taft.
Thank you, Taft.
The show will continue through this Friday, October 11th. So please come see us. Thank y'all.